Today's video in the immune longevity series is one part PSA, one part essential knowledge that everybody should know about, and one very large part inspiration. I have a couple that comes to see me regularly, and they do regular missionary trips to Africa. And as they were preparing to leave last time, I wanted to make sure that they knew about something very important. Because if you are traveling, and I will go through many countries for you today, but specifically to Africa, you should be aware that the African region carries a disproportionately high share of global malaria burden. Malaria is still a massive concern, and this is something we would consider a stealth pathogen, which I'll get into in just a little bit. But it's something that we don't really think about daily because maybe it's not so much in the United States or wherever you're watching this, it may be for you. Because in 2023, there was an estimated 263 million malaria cases and 597,000 deaths, unfortunately, in 83 different countries. Everybody should absolutely know about this person when it comes to thinking about anything in malaria, and this is Professor Tu Youyou. What an absolute inspiration. This is the Nobel Prize winner in physiology or medicine in 2015, or 10 years past this being awarded. And still not everybody knows about this, and that's exactly why I'm making this video for everyone. Tu Youyou turned to Chinese medical texts to find a traditional cure for malaria. I love that she looked back to what was traditionally being used to inform us to what we can carry forward. And I think there's so much more in Chinese medicine that we have not fully embraced moving forward, and I'm excited to see what comes next. But this artemisinin compound that she focused on has saved millions of lives. She even volunteered to be the very first human subject. And she's the first mainland Chinese scientist to have received a Nobel Prize in a scientific category. And she did so without a doctorate, a medical degree, or training abroad. This is the inspiration piece. No matter what you perceive your limitations, that shouldn't stop you from going out and finding solutions in the world that people need solutions for. And that's what she did. She went way beyond what someone else would tell her was possible to make sure that she was serving other people with true knowledge. And that is why I think it's so important that I make this video so that you also know about this. So let's take a little bit deeper look into this. There were many studies that are supporting what happened here, and the conclusions specifically on this study talking about the discovery of the artemisinin and the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine. It does say very clearly down here, millions of lives have been saved by the use of this artemisinin. Additionally, the discovery of it has led to paradigm shifts in anti-malarial research and therapy. There are few scientific discoveries that have had the same scale and instant impacts on public health, human productivity, and scientific research as artemisinin has. This is such a cool thing that everybody should be taught about, that for so many reasons. Just number one, for protection, and also just the knowledge of it, but also to know that there is more that we can always do against all of these pathogens that people are concerned about. Another research article here in the Asian Pacific Journal of Tropical Biomedicine saying that it was discovered in 1971, and she was awarded this this medical Nobel Prize. And so the thing about malaria specifically is that it is, again, what we would call a stealth pathogen. And so it has evolved strategies to evade the human immune system, allowing it to persist in the body for extended periods or even be asymptomatic. And before you freak out, just so you know, this is available. Artemisinin is something that is again, readily available for people. You can find it. This company out of Australia does make a wonderful option for it. It's called Artemisinin Forte, and I'll give you resources to be able to get connected to that as well. And why would this be important for you specifically? Well, I'm thinking of my friends who are traveling in many different areas in the country, and I wish that we could get more knowledge of all of the people in these countries. But this great website here, the Canadian Blood Services, does kind of break down by risk level different countries. So I'm just going to whip down just to give you a couple of ideas. Brazil does have a partial risk. So if you are looking to travel there, I don't mean to be skipping out on any countries that don't seem to be, not that any one is more important than the other, but you can see some of these. I'm just going to shout out some of the ones that I know people personally that may be traveling to them. Colombia, Costa Rica does have a partial risk. We also have, let's see here, the Dominican Republic partial risk. So a lot of South American, because we don't want to just think about just being African, concern for this. You can also, let's see, there were some other ones I wanted to share. Guatemala. I know some people going to Guatemala. There's a partial risk there. So check this out and know that maybe you do want to be bringing some of this artemisinin with you. So let's talk a little bit more about what stealth pathogens are. So stealth pathogens, thanks to Brisbane Live Well Clinic, has defined this really well. There are microorganisms that hide in our cells, and they use tactics to either evade or suppress our immune system, or even they just lay dormant before reactivating. And you may have heard of some of these. These pathogens include things like Epstein-Barr viruses, Borrelia burgdorferi. That would be something that would be associated with Lyme. So many different viruses and bacteria and parasites can fall into this category. So let's see how much this artemisinin actually applies to all of them. Let's look at viruses first. The antiviral effects of artemisinin and its derivatives. Well, this is encouraging. We can see here that there is a great deal of research on many different forms of viruses, including Epstein-Barr, so many different viruses that you may want to consider knowing about artemisinin if this is something you feel like you may have been exposed to. And also specifically Lyme, borreliosis. This is also another abstract showing that there is a connection there in the use of artemisinin for that one. Antifungal, what? Okay, not just viruses, not just these, not just malaria, but even fungus can be impacted by artemisinin. A series of 29 artemisinin derivatives they were showing effective, here we go, against albicans. This is candida we're talking about here. A lot of people struggling with candida. Maybe that is something that you should look into incorporating and having as part of your protocol. And also, specifically, I do want to talk not just about the Epstein-Barr, but many other viruses, hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus. So this is clearly something that I think everybody should be knowing about and knowing the story of Tu Youyou and what she was able to accomplish and bring to the world. It's been 10 years since she's had the Medical Nobel Prize awarded to her for this. I think it's time that everybody know a lot more about it. So if you have any questions about this, please put it in the comments below. I do personally keep this as part of one of my monthly rituals. So about 3 days every month, I do kind of a sweep through of what I would call the hired assassin artemisinin to go through and wipe out any exposures that I may have come into. I travel a lot. I have a lot of people in and out of my clinic, and I don't want to make any happy home for that. Now, I definitely talk a lot about making sure that we protect the actual terrain of our body and making sure that it's very strong. But sometimes it is helpful to have something that can come in and identify what would be called a stealth pathogen and give us some help against that as well. Okay, I hope you appreciated this video. I'm really excited to share this with you. I just think this is something that everybody should know about. And there are many other herbs that I would say are in this category. There are many other things, but this one in particular, I think deserves a lot of attention. And we should definitely be sharing this information with anybody we know that could be potentially at risk or being exposed to this if they're traveling to any of those areas that are known to have risk. Thank you for watching. Please share this with your friends who are going to be traveling, and make sure that you take care of yourself and have some of this for yourself, no matter what. Have a good one.